I'm Brad Rowley. Yeah, so this build is just my interpretation of the PTC Mammoet crane. It is almost minifig size. If it's actually minifig size, it'd be like 2 feet taller, but it's already a monster. So I don't have it powered up right now, but everything on it moves as far as the winches, the boom, and the jib and the hook. Nothing on it is glued, so that's awesome.
How tall is the whole build here?
It's about 9 feet total, so it's taller than I am. It can lift up to about 10 pounds by itself, so we've had it demonstrate several times, but we've also had it fail on shows too. So that's been exciting when it drops things in the middle of a show. So yeah.
So with a build of this size and this complexity, where do you start with this creation?
The train track. So this is just standard Lego train track, and that's what dictates the whole build, because that's it. That's the footprint. So that's what created it. So in actuality, it should be about 8 inches more in diameter, but I'm stuck at that. Yeah.
So then after you get the train track laid down and you start building kind of the crane itself, how did that process work for you?
It was just trial and error, trying to look at pictures and trying to make things work without stripping gears. Went through a lot of broken gears on this thing, so yeah.
Now, if you can't explain for myself and I think a lot of viewers out there who aren't familiar with kind of the technicality of how a massive piece of machinery like this operates, take us through kind of the different parts here and how this would maybe work in real life using your Lego model.
Okay, so in real life, this thing is it's made to actually break down for shipping. So if you look at it, these sections right here that I've marked, they are actually the same size as what would be on a train. So it is made to actually break down into shipping size for a train or a semi. This whole thing breaks down in real life. So it does something like 150 different train cars to transport this thing. It takes roughly, I think they say, about a month and a half to 2 months to actually transport it somewhere and rebuild it each time. This is always used for like the really, really big projects like the Ferris wheel in Dubai, power plants, things where it lifts. I think this is rated for like 1,000 ton or 1,200 ton, something like that. So massive lifts. Yeah. As far as trying to recreate it to the best I could, there's a few things I had to do to make it to where it didn't come apart in the little sizes, because then I'd lose all the integrity. I couldn't lift with it. So obviously, like the boom itself is all one piece. So you got the boom, which is this section. That's the main lift. Then you got a jib up there at the top. And that is kind of like the part where you can articulate, do the fine movement, but then your jib or your boom is what reaches out. So that's what that is. Then you got your counterweights on the back, which each one is basically a rail car, train size rail car. They all come off. And then you've got, and usually those are filled with dirt in real life. Right now, if I do a lift with it, I actually put rice in it. It's great for weight. Then you got obviously your engine compartment where your motors are and stuff like that. That's where I normally keep my battery in there. That's where that goes. Then you got your 3 winches, and all those will come apart. I can actually take the pins out, and those will actually come right out, so I can work on them if I need to rebuild the motors and all that stuff. And then I could not overcome the weight along with the gearing to actually make it move, so I have to do everything manually as far as rotation does. But it does rotate. The only part of this that is actually not Lego is actually the hook right up there. That's actually made out of billet aluminum. I'm a machinist, so I actually made that at work. But you have to have the weight to keep the tension in the string. So it actually worked out good.
Yeah, I love that, kind of combining your different interests and work there to create the whole build.
Yeah, so it's fun. I've had it out for several shows. This is probably the 4th BrickSlopes show I've had it at. I actually wasn't going to display it this year, but I've had enough people say, bring it back, so I actually stuck it up yesterday morning, right before the show started. So here it is.
I'm glad it was here for our first BrickSlopes.
Yes, yes, me too. So
How did you decide to recreate this particular crane with Lego?
why did I?
Yeah.
I'm into the big industrial stuff. It just fascinates me with my background. So I like big things like this. I had another crane. I had this one and the big gray crane back at Brick World, Chicago 2 years ago before the pandemic. They were both there. I'm huge into big, heavy, massive stuff, just like the PTC, which is not the PTC, the SPMT in front. That's for heavy lifting, and the big mining truck in front. That's just what I'm into, is the big stuff. So same thing with trains. I got my big train display over there. That's just what interests me.
Cool. Yeah, and you do a fantastic job with it here. So thanks for bringing it out to the show and setting this up. I appreciate you chatting with me about it.
Yeah, thank you so much.